That's me when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, around that age, I started hearing this whisper inside of me, this very, very soft, quiet voice. For a really long time, I didn't know what it was trying to tell me, but I knew it was there. It was constantly there. I paid attention to it for years, paid attention to it. Hopefully that one day I was going to understand what it was trying to tell me. As I got in tune with it, slowly, that whisper turned to a really powerful voice. Until one day I can remember hearing that voice loud and clear. And it said a very simple concept, a very simple idea. You need to see what is out there. I didn't know what it meant, but it was very clear. You need to see what is out there. At the same time, this massive need to explore the world, to see what is out there, came all over me, consumed me, really. And that's when I understood that what the voice was trying to tell me. The voice was trying to tell me, you need to go explore the world. You need to see what is out there. Around the same time, my parents separated. My mom one day told us that we needed to have a family meeting, and that my mom and my dad decided that they were going to get a divorce. They had talked about it for a real long time, but they wanted us to be old enough to understand. Soon after, my dad left home, and my brothers stayed living with my mom. Like many men out there, I was raised by a woman. My mom, may rest in peace, she was a very, very strong woman. She had this massive fire inside of her. And I think it was necessary for her to be able to raise 3 boys by herself. You know, she was kind, she was loving, she was very, very giving. She sacrificed a lot of her life for my brothers and I. And among all the hardships with money and uncertainty, she was always able to create a home that felt safe and felt full of love. Being raised by a woman helped me become more connected to my emotions, helped me become more compassionate, humble, caring, and sensitive. By the time I was 18, I spoke my truth to my mom. I spoke about my need to see the world. I spoke my need to travel the world, to see what is out there. I told her that I had decided to become an artist, that I had decided to use photography as a vehicle for me to travel the world and to express who I was. By the time I was 22, I decided to pursue that voice. I decided to pursue that truth. I left everything behind. I left my home, my country, my family, and my friends in the pursuit of that dream. I immigrated to the United States to learn more photography, and I moved in with my dad's cousin, Winfield Little. A very powerful man. And what was funny was that I thought I was just going to come here to the States to learn more photography, and what I didn't know was going to be like a boot camp, a really intense boot camp. Winfield is a very powerful man. He used to be a pilot in the Marines, as a major in economics. He's very intelligent, and he's a businessman. He's very, very masculine, and he's very, very powerful. And my experience with him was so transformative that I see my life before and after spending time with him. The first 6 months were the hardest, right? After everything was not new anymore and I got used to the routine, I realized that I had left everything behind. I realized that I was speaking in a language that was not mine. I was living in a place that I didn't really understand the customs. And every single relationship that mattered to me was gone. On the other side, Win really pushed me to the limit. He pushed me to be better in everything that I did. Every single day, he wanted me to be better in everything that I did. Just to give you a quick story about what was my life like back then with Win, I wake up one day to go to school. I wake up late. I go downstairs, go to the kitchen, make myself something to eat for breakfast. I finish eating, put the dishes in the sink, and leave to start my day. I have a 16-hour day of school and work, come back exhausted, go walk upstairs, go to my bed, and in my bed, all the dishes that I didn't wash earlier. So Win had a really unique way to teach me that no matter what was going on in my life, I still needed to take care of my own things. I am so grateful for his mentorship, and I'm so grateful that everything that I have done since then is because of him, right? He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to be more assertive, more ambitious, more certain of myself, more of a masculine side. After I left Wynn, I still pursued that voice for years. I pursued that voice when there was nothing else but that voice to pursue. I pursued that voice when I was broke, when I was homeless. I pursued that voice when I was mentally, emotionally, physically broken. I pursued that voice no matter what. Years later, my friends and I decided to ride our bicycles from Alaska to Argentina over the course of 21 months. Our goal was to do a documentary that would give a perspective of the Americas today, to document the people of the Americas, to show that we're more similar than what we think. And that was the pinnacle of everything that I worked for. That was my dream come true. And I would not have been able to achieve that dream if it wasn't because of the traits that I learned from my mom and the traits that I learned from Wynn. That trip pushed me beyond what I thought it was possible. It pushed me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually beyond. It literally broke me down to my core. I have never felt so vulnerable, but at the same time, it made me become more compassionate towards myself and others. I felt like a wild animal. I felt powerful. I felt courageous. I've never been so scared. I've never been so terrified, too. By the time we got to Patagonia, 20 months into our journey, we found ourselves in this huge mountain range in the middle of nowhere. We had to cycle through this epic mountain range for the next couple of weeks, I think. And that day in specific, there was this massive, massive storm. And it's so cold that I'm shaking. The wind is so strong that it's almost picking up my bicycle, which is around 150 pounds. The rain is hitting my face so hard that it hurts. And I'm completely exhausted. I can't ride my bicycle up the incline because the highway is just gravel and it's too slippery. So I keep pushing my bicycle amongst this terrifying situation, but no matter what, I keep pushing forward, and I keep pushing forward. And at that point, I've never felt so alive. It was so interesting because I felt vulnerable yet strong. I felt sensitive, just self-assured, and I felt humble yet ambitious. I felt like a full combination of the traits that I learned along my life, a combination of the traits that I learned from my mom and the combinations that I learned from Wynn. It was truly like an example of true expression of self. When I came back from that trip 3 years ago, and since then, I had the opportunity to think a lot about what I've been through and everything that I learned along the way. Everything that I learned while I was growing up in Mexico and every experience that I had since then. Through that process, I realized something. I realized that the reason I was able to develop the traits that I learned from my mom and the traits that I learned from Wynn was because those traits were already inside of me. I just didn't know how to express them. I just needed someone to mentor me how to express those traits. So when I saw my mom being compassionate, humble, and caring, she was teaching me by example how to express that side of me. When I saw Wynn being assertive, very masculine and powerful, he was teaching me how to show the other parts of myself. And it was not until I learned how to express everything that I am that I felt whole. It was not until I learned how to express every single part of myself that I felt complete. Not too long ago, a woman told me that I was a very masculine man with a deep connection to his feminine side. And in our conversation, she asked me this: how were you able to become such a powerful man? My reply was, my life has been about expressing everything that I am without creating boundaries. My life has been about listening, speaking, and pursuing my truth no matter what. Has been about expressing every thought, every emotion, every trait. I had never stopped to worry whether I was being masculine or feminine. My only worry has been whether I was pursuing my truth or not. You see, I think we live in a time where it's very, very hard for us to listen, speak, and pursue our own truth. I think it's very hard because of the expectations, our family, society, political views, you name it. I think it's very hard for us we get stuck in the idea whether we're being masculine or feminine. I think that the fact that we call those traits masculine or feminine is really constraining. What do we just call them traits? On one side, we tell men not to be too vulnerable or compassionate because that is feminine. And then we tell women not to be too assertive and ambitious because that is masculine. But we also tell men not to be too ambitious and too assertive. And we also tell women not to be too vulnerable and too compassionate. So we have created an environment where we can't express too much who we are. And we created an environment where we can't express too much of ourselves. So this is my message to you. Listen, speak, and pursue your truth. Create a space for you to listen to your inner voice. Speak your truth with honor, with courage, with honesty and power. And pursue your truth with passion and determination, constantly and daily. Seek to express yourself fully. Seek to completely destroy and get rid of any constraint in your life that denies you the full expression of self. Now I have a couple questions for you. Are the thoughts in your mind your thoughts or the thoughts that someone else wants you to have? Are the words that you're speaking today your words or the words that someone else wants you to speak? Are the actions that you're taking today the actions that you want to take or the actions that someone else wants you to take? Is your political views, relationships, religion, friends, you name it, letting you be who you are? Are your beliefs and relationships letting you express everything that you are? If the answer is yes, then you're blessed, and I hope you know that. If the answer is no, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to find a way to honor your beliefs and honor your relationships while you honor yourself, while you honor who you are. I want to challenge you to make your inner voice the main source of inspiration. I want to challenge you to make your voice the voice that you speak. I want to challenge you to make your actions the actions that you want to take. Fully expressing yourself is one of the greatest fears you will ever encounter. Listening, speaking, and pursuing your truth is terrifying, but it's the greatest freedom you will ever experience. Thank you.